Today we'll learn about one of the important concept, that is traffic manager profile, which is based on TNS. This is the architecture diagram we'll be implementing. As the first step, we don't have currently central US, so we'll treat west US as one of the primary endpoint, and failover endpoint will be treating as east US as mentioned. So let's dive into the portal to create app services. Let's create everything from this scratch. We'll select web app. Let's select the resource group. We'll select a west US resource group. Let's name our app Cloud Guru app East US. Let's make it West US first. Let's select the region West will be West US for it. We are selecting West US because we'll be treating this one, that is the primary endpoint, as the West US, and secondary or failover as the East US. So let's create the primary one first, that is the web app. We are good, West US looks good. The region will create one plan. Basically for the first we need to select the code. Let's select ASP.NET. In that way, if you check, it switches to Windows automatically. Region, again it's West US as mentioned. Let's create Windows plan. We are good for now. Let's go to review and create because we aren't modifying any other parameters. Let's click on create. So our deployment is in progress for West US. Let's create another app service for the failover. Let's create a web app. Let's select one of the resource group. Let's name our web app Cloud Guru Amit East US to identify, because we are selecting region as East US. Let's select the same ASP.NET 4.8. Let's create one Windows plan again. My plan East US. Let's give it a name. Rest things looks good to us. We'll directly proceed with review and create. Let's click on create. Since the deployment is in progress, let's get back to the architecture diagram where we are. So we have create app service plan one for like the West US, and the second one for East US for failover. So we are here now. Next step after this deployment is done, we'll be moving towards traffic manager profile, right? So let's check where we are. The deployment is in progress for the second one, that is East US one. Let's wait for a while till our both web app get ready. Alright, our deployment is completed. So let's go to the app service. So here we can see our both the web apps are now ready. One belonging to East US region, that is our failover location will make, and this one will be our primary location or the primary endpoint. Let's duplicate this tab. Now let's go to the traffic manager profile. We'll create a traffic manager from the scratch. Let's go ahead by clicking on create here. We need to name our traffic manager profile. Let's name it Cloud Guru Amit TMF traffic manager profile TMF traffic manager. It should be P basically, traffic manager profile. So let's select the routing priority or the routing method as the priority. So there are other methods as well, like weighted priority. Priority is nothing but the lower the priority, the first it will be in the preference. Say priority 1 will be served first, next priority 2, so on, right? So let's select priority 2. And these things we can modify anytime. Subscription will be pay as you go or anything which you want. Resource group, let's select one of our resource group. Let's click on create now. Alright, our deployment is completed for the traffic manager profile. So here if you look, the monitoring status is inactive. It should be technically active. We'll be making it active, but first let us check something. DNS name I have copied and I will be paste. It won't work because we haven't configured the endpoints. Let's check it out. Yeah, page cannot be reached because if you look at the architecture diagram, we are here. We haven't yet configured this primary, which will be primary endpoint and which will be failure endpoint to the web app, right? This we need to configure now. Let's begin with it. So we are at the first will be going to settings, then configuration. Here since we are using will be using HTTPS, so we need to enable the protocol endpoint monitoring settings, that is HTTPS, and for HTTPS we know the port is 443. Let's save this. This is important step because if you don't do it, you won't be able to populate the web page. We are done with it. Next is the endpoint configuration. Let's go to the endpoint. Let's click on add. Now type will be Azure endpoint. Looks good. Now let's name it Cloud Guru Amit, primary endpoint. Target resource type will be app service. Why app service? Because we have created app service right here. So our target will be definitely app service. Now let's select the target resource. Since we are making West US as the primary location, that's why priority we have set to 1. If you look at the architecture diagram here, instead of Central US, we are treating it as West US for the primary, and for the failover similarly we'll create for East US. So let's go ahead. We'll go to add. Please make sure the health check is enabled here, because if you don't enable it, then the traffic won't be routed if it is unhealthy. So our primary endpoint is currently looks good. Let's move similarly to the failover endpoint. Looks good. Next, select app service. Resource type, this time target resource will be East US, because this is our failover. If you look at the architecture diagram, our failover endpoint is East US, right? That's why we need to select the East US one, and the priority will be 2. Health check, as mentioned, it should be enabled to determine if the traffic can be served to the endpoint. If no health check is done, then the traffic will be served will be always be served to this endpoint. So we don't want this. Let's click on add. We are good for now. Now if you check the monitoring status, both our endpoints should be online. So currently our failover endpoint, it's in checking endpoint. We should wait for a while. Once both are online, then we'll be testing our DNS page. Alright, as we can see, both our endpoints are ready and online. Now let's go back to the overview page. If we check the DNS name, that is previously this one, which is same as this, Cloud Guru Amit TMP, and previously it wasn't loading because we haven't configured it. Please make sure once your endpoints are ready, make sure to wait for 5 minutes. Sometimes I've seen it doesn't work. Let's click on refresh to check whether it loads this time. Yep, it's showing isn't. Let's go to advanced, continue, unsafe it shows. Let's open. Yeah, voila, our DNS name is ready, and our this is what our it's redirecting for our web app. It's work fine. Now let's go back to the endpoints once again, because this is what we are seeing. The page we are seeing is for the West US location, that is our primary endpoint. Now let's say the primary endpoint goes down due to some reason, that is for Central US goes down. So we want the traffic to route to the failover endpoint and display the web page, that is we'll making it highly available, so that our web app is not down anytime. So that's what the concept is. Now purposely let's disable primary endpoint and check whether failover endpoint works or not. Let's go back here. In the endpoint, our primary endpoint is this one, right? Priority 1. Let's open it. Now here in the status, let's select disable and save it. Now we are purposely disabling or kind of testing the scenario where primary endpoint is down. So technically our web page, if you check the monitoring status is disabled, our web page shouldn't be down, right? Let's say there are customers who are using our web app, they don't want to see the do not display page or kind of like 404 error or something, right? Let's refresh this page. Yeah, see, again our web app is up and running, right? So that's what the concept is of traffic manager profile. It redirects our traffic if there is any kind of failure of primary endpoint or any kind of endpoint. I think there are we can configure 2000 endpoints in one go, I believe. I'm not sure, but it's a huge number, what I know or remember, for traffic manager profile. So that's how we can make our app highly available and configure in different regions for high ability. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Thank you so much for watching this video. Alright, this is interesting because in part 16 of this series we have done a previous practical implementation of it, that is the hands-on demonstration of this concept. If you have missed the previous part of the series, please check it out in the playlist section of the channel, then navigate to Easy 305 Architect Expert Ultimate course. Will be able to get the concept, and this question will be piece of cake for you. Always mark the keyword just like previously I have instructed, so that you get to arrive at the correct answer easily. Let's first look at option A. A says restore to any region worldwide. Restoring the backup to any region worldwide could lead to data inconsistency and increased latency, which we don't want because we need to restore this backup anyhow, right? So let's remove this. Now let's move to option B. B says restore to the same region only. Disaster recovery plan should consider the entire geographic scope and not just the same region to ensure data ability. Hence, this is again incorrect choice. Don't just pass your certification, instead pass with flying colors with my keyword tips and tricks included in the PDF exclusively for diamond members and above. Become a member now by clicking the join button, then please connect and inbox me on LinkedIn at the rate of Cloud Guru Amit or Instagram at the rate of Amit Physique for the PDF access. Let's look at option C. C says restore to KV7 only. KV7 is, by the way, the key vault. So restoring the backup to the same key vault, that is KV7 only, would not provide sufficient redundancy or disaster recovery capabilities. Again, incorrect choice. We are left out with option D, that is restore to the same geography only. So when designing a disaster recovery plan for an Azure Key Vault, it is essential that we should consider the geographic scope, right? In disaster recovery scenario, definitely we want to back up to within the same region as the original Key Vault, because this will ensure data consistency and minimize latency. If we read the official documentation for it, it's also mentioned when you back up to a key vault object such as secret, key or certificate. We have done the hands-on for secret in previous part of this series. The backup operation will download the object as an encrypted blob. This blob can be decrypted outside of Azure. To get usable data from this blob, you must restore the blob into key vault within, please note these words, same Azure subscription and geography. So that's what we have implemented in hands-on in previous part. I hope you got the concept and will log option D in the interest of time. Let's bring the heat to the snow. We got interesting question once again, and we'll first look at option A. Option A says deploy load balancer and a virtual machine scale set into two Azure regions. Using a single web app doesn't provide the necessary redundancy for high availability. A web app alone won't handle failover between regions. We'll eliminate this option. Now let's look at option B. B says deploy a load balancer and a web app in two Azure regions. Load balancer, if we look, doesn't work for different regions, that is two Azure regions. Therefore, this statement is out. Now let's look at option D. D says deploy an Azure Traffic Manager profile and a web app in two Azure regions. Azure Traffic Manager provides DNS based traffic routing but doesn't handle failover or data center unavailability. It's not sufficient for disaster recovery across regions, what is asked in the equation. So this won't work. So we are left out with option C, that is deploy load balancer and VMSS across two availability zones, and it is the correct answer. Okay, this question will test your concepts on somewhat queues. Let's first look at option A and D. I have highlighted the main words, that is storage queues is common in both option A and D. So if you look at option A and D, Azure storage queues do not natively support first in first out, a FIFO pattern, what is required by the question. There are no such features as custom metadata settings or stored access policy that can stabilize FIFO in Azure storage queues, and these two options are out. Now let's look at option B. B says use Azure Service Bus queues with partitioning enabled. Option B is incorrect because while partitioning in Azure Service Bus can improve performance by spreading the load across multiple message brokers and stores, it doesn't first of all enforce FIFO ordering across partitions. FIFO ordering is maintained within a partition but not across partitions. Therefore, this is again out. We are left out with option C. If we look at the official documentation, it's mentioned Azure Service Bus sessions enable joint and ordered handling of unbounded sequence of related messages. Sessions can be used in, first out, and request response patterns. That's what we require. We'll lock option C as the correct answer. If you want the PDF version of this course, please enroll in Diamond membership or above, then inbox me and connect on LinkedIn at the rate of Cloud Guru Amit or Instagram at the rate of Amit Physique. I'll be glad to help you out with the PDF access. So please, please, please don't go away. Let's meet in the next part of the series.